To another teacher talk session tonight. Tonight we are going to have our 100th session of teacher talks. It's really fantastic session for all of us. And tonight we are going to have a very educator from different part of the world, and we are going to Norway tonight. And our guest is a very special one, really. And I can't find any words to explain him here tonight. But when he comes here, when we start our live sessions, I'm sure that you are going to have a very fruitful session. And tonight we are going to have Professor Kenan Dikilitas is going to be with us, and he's a professor at the University of Stavanger, Norway. And I don't want to waste time, and I want to invite him and then start our live session with him, because I'm sure that you are all looking forward to listening to him here tonight. I have invited him. Let me invite him one more time. Yes. I have invited Kenan Hocam and waiting for him to join. Let me invite him one more time. Just waiting for him. Yes, one more time. Yes. I am waiting for him to join. Just a moment. No, there is no problem. Huh? Okay. Yes. I have accepted. There he is. Ha! Kenan Hocam.
Beni
Okay, final.
ondan sıkıntı oldu. Ben
Okay.
sandım. Sonradan
All right.
kusura bakma.
No, it's okay. Now we are in live session. There, the people are watching us, and I just wanted to say, welcome to Teacher Talk Sessions, Kenan Hocam. It's a really great honor. It's really, really great honor to have you for the 100th sessions. I still can't believe that we are having these sessions. So thank you very much for accepting my invitation for Teacher Talks.
Thank you. Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to congratulate you on your success as a teacher awarded by global institutions. That's a really great achievement for you, and I'm really happy to be here. Your, the 100th of session. That's really interesting. And I was expecting that. I was following your sessions to some extent. It's great honor to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I know that you are very busy, and so I don't want to take your time too much. And so if you're ready, we can start.
Exactly. Let's start.
Okay, then. I know about you, Kenan, but maybe our guests, audiences would like to know about you. So can you please tell about yourself, please, and a bit about your experiences? Actually, you have a very huge experience.
Yeah, you know what? I'm checking the participants at the same time who are coming in and going, and I saw an interesting person I would like to mention. He's from Tarsus, where I was born. He is based in Germany now. He doesn't have anything to do with teaching and learning, but my primary school friend, Dennis. Thank you, Dennis, for coming. It's interesting. And I see some of the teachers of my son from Izmir as well. It's really interesting. And some other colleagues in Istanbul and I think in different parts of the part of Turkey, actually. So I'm actually relocated here to Norway 3 years ago. But before that, I was working at university, and before that, I was working at university. And also, I started my career in a secondary school in Mersin, Mut, where I started my career as a teacher, and I worked there for some years. It was nice. I am still in touch with my students there, and it's really great. Maybe some of them might even be, I'm not sure. Then, yeah, I mean, on top of all these experiences in multiple levels of education, I was pursuing a career for academic researcher, trainer, educator, whatever you call. I think I had very diverse experiences with very diverse groups of teachers and students. That was for me. Maybe it was that which took me this day. I mean, who I am. It made me who I am what now, actually. So it's interesting to be able to work in diverse contexts with diverse people for diverse purposes, even because I also had an experience of teaching English, mentoring people, training, doing research with teachers, and many other interesting activities in education. So thank you for everyone who was involved in me in different ways and who helped me become who I am today and develop my career. Yeah.
I see. Thank you. Thank you very much, Kenan Hocam. And also, I would like to say really thank you to the people who make this. All right. So,
Yeah.
Kenan Hocam, I would like to move to another question. Like, what was or were your turning point or points in your own education?
It's thank you for this question. I was also reflecting on what will I say about my, the turning point in my career. I think it was today. Interestingly, someone asked me, "Who encouraged you to be an academic?" From here, my friend Selçuk, doing PhD in another department. He wanted to find out what was it that urged me to become an. And I was saying when I was first promoted as a teacher in Mut around Mersin, I actually met someone, a retired teacher there, and we were having some discussions, and I was working diligently at the school. And then one day he said, "I want you to teach at the university. So how can we make that? I'm gonna donate your name for teaching at this high school in Mut." I said, "Oh, it's good." And then he introduced me to some people there, the director and other people. And then it was that maybe that put me in the context of university. And then I learned how to function there, how to work there, how to survive. And then I wanted to start PhD, MA, Masters, and then PhD. So maybe that was the earliest encouragement for me to do that. Yeah.
I see. It's a very interesting point,
Long,
Hocam. Thank you very much.
was maybe 25 years ago, something. Yeah.
Oh, it's a really long time. And thank you very much for sharing that moment with us.
Yeah.
Kenan Hocam, when you think about all your experiences, I'm sure that you have kind of a philosophy about teaching. So what is your philosophy of teaching?
Yeah. Actually, you know, it changed a lot. I mean, I wasn't teaching in the way I'm teaching now. I wasn't interacting in the way I was when I was it has evolved in different ways. I used to believe in discipline when I became teacher first, and then I was trying to make people work, but also motivate them. But I'm still motivating people in different ways because I believe motivation. I mean, one of the key roles of us as academics, as educators, is to motivate people. Sometimes people think that it's not us as educators who needs to encourage people, who needs to motivate them. But I believe motivation is an integral part of that process. We need to find keeping people on track, keeping people learning, people motivated and engaged in what they are learning. So one of them is creating motivating and engaging environment. I think that's what I'm trying to do. I believe in the continuous interaction, and I recently, I mean, in the last maybe I started to develop kind of different interaction channels with my students, audio, verbal, even, and also written communication, asynchronously exchange. Or I also like to meet my students live and then discuss with them. That's also very, and and another actually the thing is listening to the students verbally and online or face to
I
face, like
see.
giving them talk to think and share with us. Maybe these are interesting things, but most of the time I hear people saying that we don't have time for this. But I say that this is the pedagogy itself. How come you don't have time for
I
that?
see.
So create time for interaction, create time for, you know, collaboration with students, having them kind of metacognitively active. Some of you might wonder what this is. Sometimes we just want them to learn something, but we don't care about how they learn. And if we try to ask them questions about how they learn, it becomes like metacognitive learning. It's metacognitive
I
space.
see.
Students think about, okay, I mean, why can't I learn that topic? So the teachers need to highlight that. Or why am I learning this in a different way than others? Or how I can learn it better. So students should ask themselves such metacognitive questions to be able to understand how they are learning. Because if I know how I am learning, I can learn
I see.
better. But if it is a random engagement in something to learn without really a purposeful focus, then I don't think the mind will work, because the literature also shows that cognition and metacognition work together. So we need to keep both alive, like or active. In metacognition, in cognition, you can ask great questions to the students to be able to make them aware of what they learn, but not how they learn it. I think we need to keep them holistically active while learning, so that they can actually learn deeper. I would say it's part of deeper
I
learning,
see.
and longer reticence, like longer time for keeping knowledge in their mind, and verbally active. They can articulate as they articulate how they are learning and what they are learning at the same time. Maybe this can also train. Uh, I would say, yeah.
I see. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Kenan Hocam. And I think someone asked you something here, Kenan Hocam. You mean evaluating their learning? Natia asks.
Evaluating the process of learning rather than the content of what is being learned. Like,
I see.
what kind of students am I? How can I learn better? How can I learn in different ways? What is it that makes me a bad learner or good learner? Or why some parts of learning is challenging for me? So people need to raise their awareness into these issues to be able to find different ways of learning and better ways of maybe or improved ways of learning, if you like. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kenan Hocam. I just want to remind our audiences, like, if you have any questions to Kenan Hocam, please write your questions into the question part. So if you write that into the comment part, so maybe sometimes we can miss it. So instead of this, just write your questions over there, and so I can divert your questions to him. Thank you. Okay. So I know that you are, if I'm wrong, please correct me. You are interested in teacher identity and teacher agency, if I'm not wrong. So can you define the phrases teacher identity and teacher agency, and can you give us some tips on developing identity and agency?
Yeah, I think it's important. It's an important topic. Identity is actually a social construct. It's more of how we see ourselves as a learner or as a teacher or as an educator, and also how we are seen by others. Because I mean, what helps us understand, what helps us learn in a community is how we are positioned in that community from our perspectives and from others' perspectives. Usually, it's also related to the roles that we have in the community. Like many teachers now, like you, for example, you're a teacher, and maybe plus or integrated with that, have a moderator role and some experiences to, invite people for discussions and provide some space for other teachers to learn about some other academics and to listen to someone talking about an interesting topic. So you are developing a new role as a teacher, and this is identity. This is helping you develop a new identity. You're not a Volkan anymore. You have other activities. But what is also important in that, you said this is your 100th event with different teachers, educators, and academics. It means you are doing that systematically. You're learning and growing within this role as well. And then the role and the practices here that you do is also affecting your teaching and your relationship with your colleagues and with your students, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
You're developing so fast because you have systematically critical experiences, because you're thinking about new topics. Maybe you never mentioned identity anywhere, but now, since you're going to talk to me, you are actually saying, okay, what is identity? Let's learn. So now you're building your knowledge base, you're building your experiences, you're using different terms. So you're growing as a teacher within a different role, and all these are contributing to your identity. And some teachers are project writers. They like traveling, for example, and they develop different intercultural competence in different contexts by going to other countries. This Erasmus plus Erasmus stuff in high schools. And also some are writing to other things. Some are creating materials. Some are becoming more online teacher, or some are developing different pedagogical activities. So what is identity develops over time, but not by itself. It needs to be cultivated through active, critical, collaborative, reflective engagement in multiple pedagogical activities, whatever you call. These activities could be really interesting, different topics, as you do. So now you are building, and some other people, as your wife does, develop themselves by doing MA, the formal education on top of their, and that also is something that can contribute or cultivate identity. So I don't think Nilgün is the same person now. She's grown into a different arena, different level, different understandings, different mindset. So you see what I mean? Identity is actually not easily changed, but change over time by the activities that you are involved in. But this is of these activities that you are involved in is important. You can't say that I've done one piece of research and I am now a researcher, I've developed. Because identity is very dynamic. It never stops growing and changing.
I see.
But if you stop what you are doing, that identity might get frozen, and it doesn't become like dynamic. That's also another aspect. So identity is who we are and how we are
I
learning
see.
and how we are
Mm-hmm.
developing. But also it's very much related to practice, because we say perform our identity. So teaching is how we perform our identity, or identity is how we teach.
Mm-hmm.
Our identity gives us a lot of insights into how we can teach, because we believe in some things, and then we develop roles, and these roles impose on us some particular activities in the class. You see the connections. So if you're doing something in a particular way because you have some kind of roles in yourself, and then you have a particular identity in your mind, or in your social life, or in your social
I
and
see.
in your school context, for example.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to trace our identity as well. What kind of identity am I developing, or have I
I
developed
see.
identities? Most probably you have done, but you cannot do that without activity, without participating actively in a particular type of activity. This is also related to the student's identity. So if we don't have an identity as a teacher, we cannot help students develop new identities. I
Exactly.
say that,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes people say, oh, I know you. You must be the student of Volkan, because I know Volkan teaches in that way. And it's clear that you are the student of Volkan. You are doing things as Volkan can teach, or has been teaching. You see what I mean? And it
I
is
see, definitely. Exactly.
students because you are influencing their learner identity in a particular way. But
Mm-hmm.
when doing this, what I always say, if you're not enacting collaboration, if you're not enacting critical thinking, collaboration, or a chance for working in a community in your class, the student's identity is not going to flourish. It's going to be stable most of the time. So what kind of teacher activities can cultivate learner identity? We need to think about these connections. So there are
I
particular
see.
of supporting students' identity, and then you need to go through your pedagogical practices. How am I teaching?
Mm-hmm.
How they are learning? Is that a deeper learning? Is that affecting their identity? Are they becoming a new learner as they learn from me, with me in my class, with the other students? So it's a very dynamic and multifaceted concept. It's like you can say
I
I
see.
very um, complex identity, but no impact on your students. That's not possible.
I
Yeah.
understand. Uh-huh. I see. Thank you very much, Kenan Hocam. And there is a question. Let me check. Let me put it into the screen. Can you see it, Kenan Hocam? Or let me just read for
Yeah.
you. There's a question which is like, how does teachers' perception of their own identity affect their job-related well-being?
Yeah. Of course. I mean, identity and well-being in this school. Sometimes our identities are supported by colleagues because
Mm-hmm.
they give us support, and sometimes the institutions gives us space for becoming who we are. But sometimes that's not the case. That doesn't happen. So identity is very much related to uh, well-being, because our identity needs to be recognized, appreciated,
Mm-hmm.
and supported by the people in the nearby community, like if it is a school. So our identity need to be supported, facilitated, or recognized by the students, by the colleagues, by the institution, and we need to provide kind of space for recognizing others' identity. So it is related, because if if who we want to be in an environment is not something like allowed by other people, is not facilitated, I think our
Sorry.
will always be you know curbed, or will always be in a bad situation. So I think it's everyone should perform their identity when they are teaching, when they are communicating, when they are working with others in the community, so that we can have well-being. It's directly related to well-being, right?
Well-being.
If that's not who I am, and who I am is not recognized and appreciated, I don't think I would have positive feelings about being there. Would you be? I don't.
Probably not.
So, well-being is very much related to how you feel about yourself, others in the context. Are you supported? Are you recognized? Are you appreciated? And then are you performing your identity? Yeah, I think thank you for the good question. Who asked that question?
Let me tell. Ajar says, yeah,
Okay, thank you.
Ajar asking.
It's a good question. I hope I answered.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Kenan Hocam. So let's move to another question then. So
Yeah, are challenging me by the good question.
there are. And there is a really nice comment here, hocam, by Gonca hocam. Öğrencilerimiz sizi özlüyor. She says.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right. So, Kenan hocam, it's kind of related questions. Just now I ask you, like, what do you think teachers' autonomy and agency mostly depend on?
Yeah. Before that, we need to say, do teachers need autonomy? Yeah, autonomy to some extent. I mean, some people are very autonomous, but they end up with nothing. Because if people interpret autonomy as independent work, it's wrong to me. Because autonomy, knowing how to learn in multiple environments, it's being, knowing when to become interdependent, when to become independent, and when to become, dependent on others. If you're weak or if you're not good at something, you are dependent on others. And making that decision to be dependent on others for some time is also an autonomous decision. So what I'm, interpreting, how I'm interpreting autonomy is something like, what is useful for me to work in group, to work in pair, to work with others, to work alone, to learn with others, for others, etc. So I think autonomy in that sense is a very important concept, but I don't think we ever need to come to a point where we need to work like individually. We don't need individually. We need to work together with others, because knowledge generation is better to understand, to construct in the community, in the social environment. We need others to learn. That's it. But then is knowing when to become autonomous in different ways. That's the issue. And agency is very much related. Having this self-regulation skill to be able to become autonomous, because agency is the ability to self-regulate your own learning, taking charge, taking control of your own learning. And then if you think that you have high agency, it means you know when to do what. And then you know when to become autonomous. You know when to become dependent, independent, whatever. But I believe, autonomy should be defined in different ways. People shouldn't understand that autonomy is independency or independence. It is dependent, independent, interdependent, and knowing how to self-regulate the process of learning and teaching. Of course, I believe in people's own actions, decisions, very important, but still they need others' validation, support, even if they decide on something individually and do it without consulting others. That's not going to be actually important in that sense.
I see. Thank you very much, Kenan hocam. And there are really nice comments here. I try to read them sometimes, but the people, they really totally agree the things that you are saying here, and they write really nice comments here. There are also questions here again.
Yeah.
The question is here. Let me show you. Like, what are some factors that cause identity shifts for the better or for the? Just a moment. Let me. For the better or for the worse
Yeah, I mean, the factors are sometimes personal, sometimes social, sometimes institutional, sometimes cultural. Uh, or we can also say there are internal and external factors that help you develop new identity. To develop new identity, someone who knows how to support you, like a good mentor, supervisor, an educator, is key. They can guide you, and then they can give you different insights to be able to develop your identity.
Mm-hmm.
But that maybe Burcu wasn't online back then, but I was saying, if you're working in an environment that is not supportive, not appreciative, not able to recognize your success, your contribution, your achievement as a teacher, then your identity is not going to flourish. And then you have to
I
seek
see.
other courses that will support you. We in a PhD thesis we were talking about claimed identities and given identities. It means in institutions some people are given identities, which is given, just
Mm-hmm.
say, okay, you are the coordinator, this is your role. And then in that role, if you work some years, you have the chance of developing a really nice identity. But this chance is given to you. But sometimes you claim an identity. You say, I want to be something. I want to be a trainer. I want to be head of blah, blah. But you're not given that chance. So this claimed identity is satisfied in different communities. So you go out of your institution, you become member of other communities. Even you develop multi-membership of
I
different
see.
communities to be able to, actualize your identity. You say, they don't recognize me as a trainer, but I am a trainer in another context. Now, this institution recognizes me. I'm training teachers outside, but my institution doesn't support me in that. So,
Mm-hmm.
Burcu, it's important to think about these supportive structures in different ways, I would say. Yes, Sinem, I agree with you.
Like me.
I mean, this is natural. I have also done that. When I wasn't recognized for my skills, achievements, and anything, I just went away. I found other places to work because you need to survive with your identity, not the identity that is given to you. I mean, if your identity is suppressed in an environment, you can never function fully. It's always going to be a superficial contribution rather than deeper uh, engagement in what you are doing. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. I see.
it's
Thank you.
normal. Technical. I don't want to create like new theoretical things, but this is life. But it is identity. That's what I'm saying. So recognition, appreciation, and support. These are key factors for developing identity in response to Burcu's question. But this support, recognition, and appreciation can come from multiple resources like families, students, colleagues, institutions, administrations, or even from the wider community of teacher associations. Like you were
Mm-hmm.
supported by a global teacher association, and then you were granted this award of being one of the more successful teachers in the world. And this was something, a very strong appreciation, very strong recognition of your achievements. And it maybe motivated you, it kept you,
Of
doing
course.
what you were doing, maybe in a better way. Now maybe you have other plans for next year, you have other ideas to share, to do, to other plans. So you see what I mean? You're building on your
Mm-hmm.
entities and follow up a kind of dynamic identity development, and you're gonna go there. In one talk, I was talking about teacher identity to pre-service teachers in Bolu, and I
Mm-hmm.
about all these
Yes.
things. And then one of the students said, "When am I gonna be that teacher that you're talking? When am I gonna have identity?" What did I say? I said never. You're always gonna follow up. You're always gonna
Exactly.
have that identity. If you stop and say, "Oh, I have had this identity," then it's gonna be frozen. It's not gonna function because for identity, you always, I mean, you need to continue to do things. You need to continue to develop what you're doing in a different way. You need to become
Mm-hmm.
a teacher doing things in a different way as you teach in a different context to different students. You see what I mean? I mean, it's a bit a kind of resilience in your profession. You should continue to do things in different ways, so you develop your identity in a maybe deeper way, in a way that is satisfying you. If you are yourself in what you do, you're not suppressed, then you will be happy, and well-being will be there as well. Yeah.
As well. Thank you. Thank you, Kenan Hocam. Thank you very much. And so I'm going to ask you another question, but maybe you mentioned some of the answers about it, but maybe you would like to add anything, something about it. Is there a correlation between learner agency and the teacher agency?
Of course, but you know, it's all about how we are becoming democratic in the classroom. Are we opening a space for students? Sometimes we are very strict and we don't, you know, open space for students. We just tell them to do things and then they do it. No room for understandings, for their practices, for their voice. So it's kind of sharing the classroom space as a democratic place where students and teachers need to be understandable, need to co-work very, you know, nicely, and then respect each other. It shouldn't be the case that teachers are covering all the space, but students are, you know, working on their own in different ways. So it's kind of, classroom should be democratically shared, and the power, you know, the power is also something that they need to share. So there is always hierarchy. Teachers are kind of hierarchically different from. But if you can turn the classroom in a non-hierarchical environment where everyone is involved,
I see.
community, and the agency of students is recognized and then appreciated if they want to. Because if students show agency, it means if they show that they want to do things in a particular way, it means they want to learn. Why will I say no? Just give them the space. Okay, do it. You want to do it in a particular way, and that intention is itself a very strong intention to learn. So we need to support people want to do things in a particular way. There might be some MA students here listening to me, and I remember I gave them a task. I said, go to your classrooms, open space for your students, give them the opportunity to design, redesign whatever they want to learn. Just try that some hours in over 4 weeks, 5 weeks. And then everyone came back with really great ideas. They really told me different stories about how they felt when students took the charge of their own learning. It was granting them agency, actually. It was the students were exercising agency by the permission of the teacher with limited guidance, I must say. So I think we need to open space for students to perform their identity, to exercise agency, and become more and more autonomous in the classroom, maybe. Yeah. It's all about, you know, letting off your power in the class. You're not the disciplined, you're not authority teacher, but you are collaborator with the students. This is maybe a kind of mindset that we need to develop in order to support students' deeper learning, deeper engagement. And as I said, if they become agentic, like if they want to do something in a particular way, if they want to take the control, that is the most important motivation that we need as teachers, and if we want them to learn deeper. Yeah.
I see. Thank you very much, Kenan Hocam, about your answer. So it's really, really, you know, the excellent answer. I don't know. It's really great. And there is another question, Kenan Hocam. Let me put it on the screen here. It's, I think, Elif, if I'm not wrong, like, how can you define your own teacher identity, Hocam? You have a turning point in your teacher identity.
This is a very hard question. Elif is asking about me. Yeah, of course, I always reflect on what kind of teacher I am and how am I supporting my identity as well, or how is my identity supported. The most support for my identity development comes from my students, actually. Students like Elif, for example. I mean, I like when I'm supported in terms of how I develop my identity, and I do talk a lot about the courses, about teaching and learning, and then they actually uh, support me in different ways, and that is helping me build my identity in a safe environment. And yeah, the first thing is the student. The second one is my research activities. Yeah, as I do research, publish, disseminate research, as I'm invited to these talks. These are also supporting my identity. Then I'm going to define my identity. Not define, but try to describe it actually. So my identity is very dynamic, maybe more dynamic than anyone, because I keep changing. I keep finding different challenges because I like to challenge myself. This talk is also a challenge for me.
I
I'm
see.
responding to questions. It keeps me thinking, and I have to find an answer. I have to reflect critically, say something meaningful to people listening. These are actually interesting experiences. So the experiences you have are also interesting identity supportive strategies, and I like that. I never refrain from any invitations that will challenge me actually. So you need to let yourself be challenged by different activities. That's another part of my identity, and I think it's a collaboration, cooperation with students. This is another thing that I do very often, and I like to do. It keeps me thinking, and also I think we can only develop as educators and researchers if we help others become educators and researchers. That's
Mhm.
my actually. This may be part of my. I like to be a great helper for my students in different levels. I try. I don't say I do great work, but I try. At least I show intention and I spend time. I create time for most of them as much as I can. Apologies if I couldn't help some of you in different ways as you expected. And yeah, I think my identity, as I said, is very much based on interaction, collaboration, and co-work with, especially with my students. I don't want to. I want to work with the students because, as I said, we need to support new people, and their identity needs to be cultivated by some deeper collaboration with people like
Mhm.
as teacher educators and academics. Yeah.
I see. Thank you very much, Kenan Hocam. Thank you very much.
So,
Okay, so let's move to another question then. And as schools usually ask for quantified accountability, and like teachers may feel stuck in the middle of the administrator's demands and students' needs and their own beliefs. Like, what is your advice, both for the administrators and the teachers, to increase schools' quality and without causing burnout on the teacher's side?
yeah. I, I think we need to ask this question: quality or quantity? Of course, schools are very much driven by the higher scores of students. But can we really measure success by scores? Can we really, do we really ask the right questions in the exam, valid questions and reliable exam models and forms? We need to question this first. But I believe these quantitative results of student success sometimes work, sometimes not. But what is most important is the quality of learning, and whether it is assessed or not. Some students really develop different skills. And if you look into the world, you can see that many successful people, I mean, might have poor scores in the school. And this was not because they weren't wise enough, but it was
Mm-hmm.
probably inadequately or measured, or their success or their learning process was not measured properly because of the lack of knowledge of assessment and evaluation. So what I suggest to schools is like focus on how you can support students to think rather than to answer a question in a test or in a closed-ended question. to change the way you ask the questions, and then students will be adapted to that as well. So, as I said, we need to motivate students to think in a creative way, and also to write creatively. I mean, when I came to Norway, I started to look into different practices. But what is missing in Turkey, the lack of students to write and to speak longer terms. Like it's like
I see.
turn discussions and that's all. But we are not giving space for students to talk in front of audience or to say something, and that needs to be evaluated actually, rather than the, if we are not giving them to writing assignments where they are writing their interpretations using kind of examples, anecdotes. I mean, writing can start very early. I mean, we shouldn't wait, but the students should be given deadlines. Here is the task. You're going to submit it in 2 months. But in between, I mean, up to this time, I'm going to support you in different ways. So multiple feedback sessions, individual, verbal, online, video-based, audio-based. So give students deadlines. So they need to submit something. They need to engage in active writing and active revision process. I mean, I know from some of the students I know in Turkey, in high school and in secondary school, writing assignments are very superficial. But what is most important is to give them really meaningful writing assignments.
I see.
A really nice, and also some verbal presentations once a semester, even once a year, so that they can develop. We always told you that the students can't develop critical thinking. They can't, because you're not giving them the space to write, to think, to talk. No space.
Exactly.
All exam orientation. Okay, if they answer these questions, they are very successful. To me, they are not, because the life isn't based on these exam scores. It's more about being a really critical thinker as a citizen, as a student, as a teacher. Yeah. I never remember I was a student in primary school, high school, or secondary school. I never remember that I was given any writing task that made me think, focus on it, and then submit it on time. And there wasn't something like that. I'm not old, so I don't think that is still the case in the education. Maybe there are some examples, I must say, but we need to. Yeah, well, Selçuk is saying that we need to encourage them to express their capacities by writing, by thinking, by talking. But this is missing. There's very short, like, okay, tell us something, 1 minute. It should be, I mean, we need to develop different assignments that encourage people to express their thoughts by writing, by speaking, by, critical thinking. Yeah. That is the quality, actually. That's the quality.
I see. Thank you. I understand. Thank you very much, Hocam. Thank you very much for this, for the answer. Okay, so there is another question. Let me look.
Hey, Volkan. I didn't give, but I just reflected. I just gave my thoughts and comments, right? They shouldn't that I'm acting in a particular way, and they should follow that. People can have different ideas.
Yeah, I see. Of course. And this platform is just for your ideas, and we are here to listen to your idea, what you think about it. What is your idea? What are your suggestions? So it's wonderful for us. Let me look at the question here. There is another. There is a question which is like, Hocam, since the first day of our lessons together, I know and I wanted to be a better qual researcher. That's the role I developed thanks to you. Can you please guide us more on how to go deeper on the way? That's the question from...
Yeah, to do research, you need to continue to research. With support or without support, if you can't find it. I think we need to keep doing it, and then get revisions, get rejected, and then these are really interesting points that we need to keep in mind, and we need to try. We need to continue. It takes time. It doesn't happen in one day, and maybe meanwhile we need to read a lot, interact a lot, disseminate a lot, write and submit, get others' opinions, and then read them carefully. Yeah, the most important thing is how we are actually getting help and support from others. What kind of feedback are we getting from other people? Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, hocam. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Let's move to
What
another one.
I'm drinking Coca-Cola.
Yeah, just now someone asked that question. Well, I thought that you didn't see it, but you saw the question.
I think this is being online teacher. This part of me. My students know that I check everything. Chat, discussion, and
Wonderful.
eyes on the screen, and I am, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so they have learned what you are drinking right now. Yeah, he's drinking Coca-Cola. So that's the answer of the question. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm gonna ask you here, what 3 pieces of advice would you give to an enthusiastic novice teacher, like kind of a who doesn't know where to start PD?
Yeah. One thing is developing multi-membership. It means you need to be part of different groups, online or face-to-face. Like, I would suggest you should be part of, like, INGET, for example. I don't know, John was here, I saw. Or TESOL, Turkey, go to conferences, follow up their activity. This looks like a superficial engagement, but being in a community means accessing opportunities. If you're not there, you're not gonna be given opportunities, or you're not gonna access opportunities. That's one of the things. And then the second thing is being in touch with your smaller community in the school, interacting, collaborating together, really doing effective discussions rather than, teacher room gossips or anything. You should be really spend time together on the issues in the school, in the classroom of the students. You need to come up with really great insights, reflections when you are talking about it. It's not just, oh yeah, students don't work. Okay, let's discuss, why are they not working? Why are they not engaging in class? It's not attributing failure to them, but attributing failure to us, and then taking the responsibility and then discuss it really realistically, transparently, and openly. So understand your content, class, students, school, anything that is happening around you, understanding what is happening beyond your school, beyond your small community in the school. I mean, I don't think that is happening much. The people are very much interested in smaller issues in the school, but there is another world around in Turkey or beyond Turkey. So being really critical and reflective in the school is key. I mean, I'm just saying it, but there are things that they need to consider while doing that. Successful interaction, successful communication, successful collaboration at school environment. And then what is happening in other parts of Turkey, in other organizations, apart from my small world in the school, and then what is happening in the international arena. And thanks to you can access all these freely. I can't say it's paid, or maybe you pay very little money, and it's good. You should see that payment as a support for continuation of these activities. I mean, I know some organizations have some annual fee, but it is good because they need to survive. It's important to support them by part of it. And I encourage people to be in a community, whether it is a small community or a bit bigger or very large, very broad community. Is it a local, national, or for example, or even global, if you call it? This understanding is a really great mindset of today's teachers. They need to see that, because I have developed by having multi-memberships. Actually, like, I had a very local community in the school I was working, and then a great community, and I'm still working on setting up small communities of students at PhD, MA, and then talk to them together individually. And then I have a lot of, I was part of national communities like TESOL, INGET, and other communities. And then I have become part of international communities like and some other communities in different
Wow.
well. So you see what I mean? To teachers, I must say, do these, learn in community, be part of, but it's not just, okay, I'm a member of the community, engage. Yeah.
Exactly.
Do things,
Mm-hmm.
group, like collaborate with people, listen to, discuss with them, try to understand what they are saying and try to show or express what you think about things. Active engagement,
Mm-hmm.
group activities, taking a role. That's also very important, I was going to say. As a teacher, you can be part of a group and then you can develop a new role and then undertake the role, perform the role, and learn within this role. I know many PhD students I was supervising. They are now part of different local groups or national groups. They are also having roles, I see. Then this is an important step in learning. But as teacher, you can also be part of these communities. That's important.
I
It's
see.
a role. I'm sure the organizers of these groups will find something you want to be part of it as a teacher. They will encourage you. They will support you. Support systems, inclusivity of teachers actually into these groups need to be supported. That's important. Yeah.
I see. Thank you very much for the suggestions, Kenan Hocam. They are excellent suggestions for novice teachers. Thank you. Okay. By the way, just a couple questions left, Kenan Hocam, and the time flies, you know. It's really, really actually I don't want to finish this program. It's really fantastic. I'm really happy to listen to you here. It's really great, you know. So let's move to some other questions. Like these are really interesting questions now, and I'm really wondering what are you going to say about them. Can you tell us 5 adjectives that describe an effective, actually, I'm gonna say language teachers, but we can say also just teacher.
Yeah. Okay. One could be collaborative.
Collaborative, yeah.
Yeah. And then reflective.
Reflective,
Yeah. Resilient.
okay. Resilient, 3.
And then I don't want to say critical because meaning of critical is really interestingly uh, but maybe having a critical eye and also
4.
maybe creative and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and flexible.
Flexible,
We
1.
sh
Okay.
we shouldn't stick to ideas strongly. We should let them go. If it doesn't work,
Uh-huh.
change it. So flexibility is that in course design, in interaction, in addressing people and responding to your question. Yeah, one
Uh-huh.
say, okay, let's try that.
Thank you.
See, let people perform their identities, then they will be very successful. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's really wonderful. The adjectives about that
It help
about
them
the teachers.
what I said, 5.
5? Sorry?
All these adjectives, okay?
Yeah, perfect. So wonderful. Okay, so let's move to the next question, Kenojam. Thank you. I also really wondered for these questions. Kenojam, if you could have one superpower to use in the classroom, what would it be and how would it help you?
Yeah. Yeah, you want to, can you repeat the question?
If you could have one superpower to use in the classroom, what would it be and how would help?
Yeah, I think I would use it to make students to think and talk. Yeah, and write. These 3,
Mm-hmm.
because this is the sum of engagement, like uh, think, talk, and write. 3 things. They need to be productive. That means
I see.
actively active thinking, and then
Uh-huh.
talking verbally active and writing cognitively active. So they need to be producing ideas. They need to be producing, gaining insights. So I think I would use it to make them more engage in these three things: thinking, talking, and writing.
Writing. Thank you very much hocam. Thank you very much Kenan hocam.
I
And
thought about this if you hadn't asked me. But
okay, so the next question is about the ELT world. So if you had the chance to change
yeah,
one thing from ELT world, what would you change and why?
I wouldn't change anything. I would let people do things as they want, but I would maybe suggest something, and then
Mm-hmm.
and that. But when you say EL2 world, do you mean the teachers?
Yeah, I mean like that as a can be a teachers or also English language teaching. Like I mean generally about the language teaching also we can say.
Yeah. I think I would, it's interesting. There are many things that can be improved, I must say, not change, but improve. Because change is also, improve is also a kind of change, slight change. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but maybe creating different materials for students to engage. I was also thinking about books today with one of my students before the session, and we say books have really important power on teachers' actions and behaviors. So I think the books have a different character, or it should change its format. Uh, could be hybrid books, for example, online, face to face. Like part of the book should be online, part of it should be as a handout, and then they should.
I see. Mm-hmm.
It's a great way of engaging students in the online environment as well. So this chapter is just online; it's not here. So 1, 3, 5, 5, 7 chapters are in the book, but the others are online. So they need to go online and do the task and learn from that environment. Maybe something like that. So making
I
innovation
see.
in the way we can engage students in content, and then we
Mm-hmm.
develop different ways of interaction with students. Like I think teachers need to be given time to interact with students online, but that is not counted or assessed.
Uh-huh.
That's not paid. So if you need to communicate with students online, this is out of your or beyond your working hours. That's not good. So schools also should change their policies of how many hours teachers should work, and what kind of hours can they have beyond school. So beyond school student engagement or within school, I think there is need for um, more planning for including or opening time for students and for teachers to do some flexible work, to be able to learn independently, to be able to learn together, and to do some creative learning, I must say. Yeah.
I see. Okay. Thank you very much hocam. Thank you. Thank you Kenan hocam. Okay. So on last two questions Kenan hocam. So let me ask you the first one. Like let's think that we finish the interview and you step outside the house and find a lottery ticket ends up winning with a $10 million. What would you do about with it?
I never thought about it, but I I will definitely help some people that I know who need money, who need a different. That's the first thing, and I would maybe spend some money on education. I could set up kindergarten maybe. Why kindergarten? Because I believe that's the beginning of good education, and maybe I can come up with my own education system in the preschool system, and then just do something differently. I know there are really great examples in Turkey, but I can develop mine as well. I wouldn't set up university, I wouldn't set up high school, not primary school, but uh,
Kindergarten.
on language development and other kinds of mental, social, emotional development. Yeah, I think I would do these things, and yeah.
I see. Thank you. Thank you very much, Kenan hocam. And here is the last question of the 100th session. Yes, the most difficult one, I think. Okay, so here is the question. What is your motto?
Motto. Wow. I think one of the things I really like to learn in different ways, not in the way people learn, but in the way I want to learn. And I like to discuss much more than ever in the last 5-6 years, because then I learned the value of interaction and generating ideas together with discussion with people. Yeah, so learning, discussing, interacting, collaborating, these are my motto actually.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Kenan Hocam. That's all my questions from by my side, Kenan Hocam. And what I'm gonna say that before and we are in end of the teacher talks, like the 100 sessions. I still can't believe that we are coming the end of the session. So before ending the live sessions, would you like to add anything else?
Oh, thank you for people listening to me for their generous comments. They sound really appreciative, and I really feel happy to hear that, and those really kind words, I must say. And thank you for inviting me and asking these great questions. They were very relevant, and your questions guided me to express my identity, express my ideas, perceptions, and even general understanding of education. They were really nicely and yeah, thank you, Gayane. He's also here. And I also see comments here. Thank you very much. Aydan Hocam, great to see you. By the way, recover soon. I just saw that you had your arm broken. Hope you will recover soon. I'm gonna write to you later for that as well.
I
Yeah.
see. Thank you. Thank you very much, Kenan Hocam.
Thank you everyone for being here, and hope to see you again in different occasions. Yeah.
I see. Okay. All right then. So thank you very much, everybody. And Professor Kenan Dikilitas was with us tonight for the 100 sessions of Teacher Talks. It was such a fruitful sessions, and I'm sure that we are all lucky we had the chance to listen to him. I would like to say one more time, thank you to give us to this chance. It's really precious. And also, I want to say thank you for your time and suggestions and ideas. And especially you spend your time with us here, which is really important for you. Thank you very much, Kenan Hocam. And tonight we listened to Professor Kenan Dikilitas here. And this is the end of Teacher Talks of the first season, let's say. And we ended up with a perfect educator and with Kenan Dikilitas. That was an excellent session for us. And we are going to be here with the second season. But before the second season, we are going to have different activities and different things. I'm gonna explain them to you later. So thank you very much again. And wherever you are, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and good night. Until the next time, take care of yourselves and take care of yourself, Kenan Hocam. And that's all from Teacher Talks. Until the next time, bye-bye, everybody, and peace, everybody, and bye-bye, Kenan Hocam. Thank you very much.
It's really great. Thank you, Volkan, for the next season.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.